Episode 175.
No need to worry, you two. This sky-covering bell of mine is mixed with the same crystal used to forge magic treasures. There's absolutely no way it can escape.
Hearing Xuan La's words, Han Li's expression eased. He put away the crow's plunder, seeming genuinely at ease. Lu Tianmeng walked up to the formation, studied it for a moment, and let out a thoughtful hum. Yet even so, unease still clung to his expression.
No, I'm still not comfortable with this. Keep that thing trapped with the formation. Buy me some time. I need to bring out a talisman treasure and finish it for good.
Xuan Lei frowned at this, but said nothing, acting as if he couldn't care less. Han Li, meanwhile, glanced at the teleportation array and the token on the skeleton, lost in thought. He then walked over to an empty space on the side, sat down cross-legged, and left the rest to the other two. At that moment, Lu Tianmeng produced a gleaming green talisman, clasped it between his palms, and slowly began channeling spiritual power into it. A late Foundation establishment cultivator was noticeably faster at activating a talisman treasure. In just a short while, Lu Tianmeng parted his hands, and a small, exquisite azure ruler shot forth, circling above his head.
Ready? I can release the beast now.
Good. Now you can die in peace.
This greater teleportation token is mine now.
Lu Tianmeng suddenly let out a thunderous shout. The small ruler above his head erupted with countless beams of light, splitting from 1 into 2, 2 into 4, 4 into 8. In the blink of an eye, it had transformed into hundreds of identical rulers, each one humming with a resonant drone. Under Lu Tianmeng's command, the bulk of the swarm hammered down on Xuan Lei, while a smaller portion shot toward the seated Han Li. Han Li's expression flickered. He tightened his grip on the object in his hand, his eyes locked onto the incoming talisman treasure. Xuan Lei, however, remained utterly indifferent, as if the danger before him simply didn't exist. Seeing their expressions, Lu Tianmeng's smug face froze. He sensed trouble and moved to summon his tortoise shell. But at that moment, the ground behind him erupted with a violent roar, and a flash of crimson light streaked past him. In an instant, Lu Tianmeng's body was cleaved in two and fell to the ground. The crimson light shot a short distance before stopping. It was the blood spider, which had somehow broken free. The moment Lu Tianmeng fell, the hundreds of small rulers, now bereft of spiritual power, shattered into specks of green light in an instant. They then coalesced, revealing the talisman's original form as it drifted down to land squarely between Han Li, Xuan Li, and the blood spider. Xuan Li watched Han Li with a blank expression, making no move. Han Li glanced at the blood spider, then at Xuan Li, and silently raised his hand to summon the white scale shield. Simultaneously, 8 beams of white light flared around him, and 8 puppet beasts materialized at his side. Xuan Li's expression finally shifted. He raised a hand and recalled the small yellow bell.
I never expected junior brother Han to be skilled in puppetry, but it seems his cultivation isn't quite there yet. These few puppets, how could they possibly be a match for me?
You released the spider on purpose?
Not bad.
Xuan Lei admitted it without hesitation. With a flick of his wrist, a red gauze garment resembling a cloak appeared in his hand.
Aren't you afraid it'll backfire and the beast ends up killing you instead?
Kill me? With just this one measly rank 4 beast? Hard shell and a bit of brute force is all it's got? But go ahead, have some fun with this spider. Hope you manage to keep your skin intact.
Xuan Lei finished speaking and draped the light gauze over himself. He was still standing there, but every trace of his aura vanished in an instant. This caught Han Li off guard, and he couldn't help but take a deeper look at the gauze. Meanwhile, Xuan Lei, a faint smile on his face, slowly retreated toward a corner of the cave, looking entirely like a bystander who wanted nothing to do with the situation. Han Li's mind raced, and he quickly pieced together the purpose of the gauze. His expression shifted as he snapped his gaze toward the spider. The blood spider was staring at him with a murderous glare, its fangs scraping together with a dry, rasping sound. It had clearly marked him as its prey. Han Li gave it a moment's thought, then flickered forward, charging toward the corner where Xuan Li was.
The blood spider saw Han Li move and immediately flared with crimson light, charging straight at him.
Meanwhile, the puppet beast, already prepared, opened its mouth and fired a rapid succession of fleeting light beams, striking the blood spider squarely and sending it tumbling head over heels repeatedly, leaving it momentarily unable to catch up to Han Li. Xuan Yue felt a chill run down his spine as he saw Han Li charging toward him. He was deeply wary of Han Li's lightning-fast movement. There was no way he'd let him get close. Without a second thought, he hurled the small bell at Han Li, and in the same instant, light burst from his body as a fiery red leather armor materialized over him. And the light veil, having lost its effect, was naturally retracted. Han Li saw the giant bell hurtling toward him. He reached out, and a small mirror appeared in his hand. A beam of green light shot forth, striking the bell just as it began to grow. The bell shrank back to its original size, frozen in midair.
Xuanming Mirror.
How could Xuan Li not know about this famous top-grade magic tool of the sect? He fumbled, caught off guard. He had counted on the sky-shrouding bell to buy him at least a moment. But Han Li charged straight through without a single pause. How could he not be thrown into a fluster? Fortunately, Xuan Li was still over 10 jiang away. He hurled the ice rain talisman he had just drawn, and it instantly transformed into a dense storm of ice shards, shooting forward.
As long as Han Li uses that white shield to block, his movement will slow down. That's all the time I need to activate the powerful magic tool I just took out.
Han Li saw the volley of ice bolts hurtling toward him. A cold glint flashed in his eyes. Instead of raising his shield, he swept it back into his storage pouch. Then his speed doubled in an instant, his entire body twisting and contorting in an impossible manner as he shot through the hail of ice without a single scratch. Xuan Li's composed expression vanished in an instant, his face turning deathly pale. Seeing Han Li closing in on him in the blink of an eye, he had no choice but to abandon any thought of activating a magic tool. Instead, he frantically poured every ounce of his spiritual power into his fiery red armor, hoping its top-grade defensive properties would see him through this crisis. Han Li saw the opponent's armor flare with blinding light. Murderous intent surged in his eyes. He opened his mouth and, without warning, spat out a dark, needle-like object he had prepared long ago, accompanied by a shrill, piercing shriek. It pierced his armor with a thunderous explosion. Then, a colossal azure sword aura materialized out of thin air. In a flash, Han Li was already standing behind Xuan Yue. Xuan Li stood frozen in place, a fist-sized hole suddenly appearing in the chest of his fiery red armor, draining all its spiritual qi and rendering it useless. And then, without any warning, his head simply tumbled from his shoulders. Han Li had shattered his armor and severed his skull clean off with the Azure Yuan sword's blade. As for the storage pouch at his waist, Han Li naturally helped himself to it. Han Li looked at the storage pouch in his hand, a feeling he couldn't quite put into words settling in his chest.
A late Foundation establishment cultivator, killed just like that. He probably couldn't believe it even in his final moments, could he? But I knew full well that he died by my hand, partly because I caught him off guard, and partly because of the cramped terrain limiting his options. In a normal, high-altitude fight between cultivators, he would never give me a chance to get close. With dozens of Jiang between us, and him flying on a magic tool, his speed was hardly any slower than my best footwork. And this time, to shatter his armor, I used the Inkjiao horn to craft a one-shot self-destruct magic tool, forcing a mutual destruction with his defenses.
The shopkeeper who forged this horn for me kept sighing over it the whole time.
If this ink-black horn had been allowed to grow for another 20 or 30 years, it could have been refined into a very powerful magic tool. Instead, it can only be used as a consumable now. As things stand, using this to kill a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator is still a very good deal.
Han Li had just stowed away the azure spirit mirror and the opponent's small bell when a series of explosions rang out behind him. He paused mid-step, then without a second thought, slapped his storage pouch, and several more second-tier puppet beasts flew out from it. Meanwhile, the original 8 puppets were finally cornered by the blood spider. In just a few strikes, they were torn and bitten into pieces. Now the blood spider turned around and charged at Han Li once more. Han raised his hand, and a pair of black dragon bells shot forth, suddenly enlarging to intercept the giant spider mid-air. The puppet beast's light beam attack followed closely, relentlessly striking the demon beast's blood-red body, finally pinning it in place and halting its advance. The blood spider, in its panic, spat out several mouthfuls of webbing. Unfortunately, Han Li saw this coming and sidestepped with a flicker of movement. As for the puppet beasts, any that were too slow to dodge got snagged by the spider silk. Han Li instantly stored them back into his pouch and swapped in another, keeping up the relentless assault without missing a beat. However, Han Li had to abandon his plan of immediately unleashing a magic treasure to kill his opponent. After all, using a shield or a magic tool to directly block the spider's web would be unwise. Han Li had no choice but to sigh and maintain this level of assault on the spider, not daring to slack off for even a moment. Finally, a quarter hour later, just as Han Li had predicted, the blood-red hue on the spider began to fade, and pockmarked scars started appearing on its shell. Clearly, this beast's true essence was running dry. It could no longer channel spiritual power across its body to hold back the assault. Han Li finally allowed himself a smile. The spider seemed to sense the danger, trying several times to break free from his attack range and scurry toward the cave entrance. But each time the puppet beasts drove it back with a flurry of urgent light beams. In the end, it was trapped here, alive, and Han Li had cornered it to its death. When the spider demon beast had exhausted its last shred of true essence, it could only curl into a ball, utterly defenseless. Han Li swapped to the razor-sharp Silver Moon sword, stepped forward, and cleaved the spider's head clean off with a single stroke. As expected, the beast's shell was tough, but with magic power protecting the body, the silver sword cut through its defenses with ease. Then Han Li plopped down on the ground nearby, silent for a long time. After a long moment, he surveyed the countless dead cultivators around him. For the first time, he truly felt the fragility of a cultivator's life, and it stirred a quiet sorrow in his heart.
Maybe one day I'll die at the hands of some cultivator, or end up in the belly of a demon beast.
Once he had rested enough, Han Li picked up the small ruler talisman treasure, then searched each corpse for its storage pouch. Finally, he crept closer to the teleportation array, his gaze flickering restlessly over the 5-colored skeleton and the token it held in its hands.
The Great Teleportation Token. That's what Lu Tianmeng called it.
Han Li had never heard that name before. The fact that both Lu Tianmeng and Xuan Lei had unhesitatingly moved to eliminate others for it was proof enough of its value. However, faced with the bizarre form of the 5-colored bone remnant, Han Li dared not act rashly.